snails and slugs, they are coming soon because it's getting cooler and moister and darker, which is all the things that snails and slugs like. They like cool, moist, and cooler temperatures, moisture, and darkness. So also with a IPM approach, we want to prevent snails and slugs from coming into our yard. We want to avoid certain plants that they like and that they like to hide under, like agapanthus, ivy, lilies. Again, we want to remove debris like we talked about with rats, any pots sitting around that you're not using, or boards, pieces of wood, things that they can hide under during the day. We want to water in the morning, that way that the plants will have time to dry out before nightfall again. And then we want to avoid overwatering also, that again, just to reduce moisture. And as I said, overwatering is bad for your plants anyway. So then we want to ID and monitor. So look for the damage. Snails and slugs cause chewing damage, which can be hard to identify, but that's what they chew. They have chewing mouth parts, and then they also tend to leave slime trails. So if you see around your plants, on your mulch, on the soil, there's like this weird, clear, gooey trail left, it's likely you have snails or slugs. So if we want to take action, cultural control, we want to change their habitat to an unfriendly environment for them. So we remove the debris, anything that they could be hiding under during the day. We want to add, I've heard that they don't like chunky arbor mulch. So you can add more chunky mulch to your garden. And then we want to clear any ivy. For mechanical controls, these can be very effective for snails and slugs. Hand picking, it takes a little work, but it is quite effective. So go out at night or when it gets darker and cooler with a flashlight and look on all sides of your plants and pick off the snails and slugs and put them in some soapy water. One thing to note, I did read that snails and slugs can be a vector for rat lungworm disease, which is a really terrible disease that can affect humans. It hasn't yet been detected in California, but it is a risk. So if you are hand picking, just use gloves. Copper tape and barriers. Slugs and snails don't like crawling across copper. So you can line your pots or your raised beds with some copper tape, and hopefully that'll prevent them. And then you can create a trap using, I know I said remove any boards and flower pots, but you can use a board that you have in your yard as a trap. Put the board down, maybe a little bit above, raised up above the soil, so maybe like a ½ inch or so. The snails will hide under that during the day, the slugs and snails. They like darkness, they don't like heat, so during the heat of the day, they'll go under the board to hide. During that time, you can lift up the board and scrape them off into some soapy water. And then lastly, if you do want to resort to a chemical control, Sluggo or any kind of iron phosphate bait can be very effective and is less toxic. I would avoid any bait that has the ingredient of metaldehyde, as that can be very toxic to dogs. And then lastly, we want to monitor, is the problem going away? Is it getting better? And if not, and if it's not getting better, we want to try a different approach.